Spacey Sims, and we are back with more London Detective Mysteria. I'm like, what the fuck are we playing? Oh my god. Wow. Anyway. So yeah. And we are now off to school, the Harrington Academy. Maybe, I don't know. Pendleton gave us a lot of quizzes and shit in the last one, and now here he is again. I thought we were going off to school, and now we're here. I don't know. So maybe that was a dream? You know. Here you are. I've made your very favorite omelet. It's exquisite. And this here is her herb roasted veal accompanied by ratatouille. Oh, this is wonderful. It tastes so good. My lady, my lady. What? My lady, it's time to wake up. Wake up? What do you mean? It's the middle of breakfast, isn't it? And then again, I'm so full. I can't possibly eat another bite. Are you sure? Won't you have some lemon? I have no idea what that is. With cream. I don't know. I'm not doing it. I suppose it couldn't hurt. I always have room for dessert. What on earth? Suddenly I feel so sleepy. My lady, you have to wake up. If you're not out of bed within 5 seconds, your breakfast shall make its way right back into the kitchen. Do you hear me? No, wait! I jumped straight out of bed. Don't take away my food! Oh, that was a dream, wasn't it? Good morning, my lady. Yes, good morning. Of course my stomach chose to growl at that very moment. How terrible. Why am I so hungry? Come now, it's time you get dressed for the day. Is this breakfast? A small slice of toast and salad? Where's that lemon? Whatever, I can't read that. With cream. I see half your mind is still in bed. It's not. I never have a sleep. Or to be half awake. I feel terribly mixed up this morning. Oh, well, now is the time to be all awake. Alicia, have her changed into her uniform post-haste. Right away, sir. My lady, the skirt is a bit snug for the present. So I suggest you not eat more of your breakfast than is needed. Oh my god, the fat shaming in this is just, it hurts my feelings. If I must. It did not matter if you're a man or a woman, working or the nobility, child or adult, as the sun rose early for all who lived in London. Today was no exception. It should have been as ordinary as days previous, and for most it certainly was. Only for me did the morning feel foreign, as it marked the beginning of my life as a student. You hear the birdies in the game? I had always been educated under Pendleton's strict tutelage, and he rarely approved of me leaving the mansion without sufficient cause. Rather, he did not approve, but I allowed myself a bit of freedom whenever his back was turned. There were times when I needed to play outside, fish, or climb trees. Oh yes, how I craved to be overwhelmed by nature's scent. If only I weren't scolded to no end by Pendleton once he found out. To complain of his scoldings is a childish grievance, of course. I always knew that my life had been one of security. But it was not too much to ask for a fresh new world of friends with whom I could wax silly notions or a love that takes my breath away, was it? No, not to me. I wanted those things. I needed adventure. I inwardly thanked my benefactors as I'd begun nibbling on the toast for my morning breakfast. The dream of receiving an education in a private school had long been a societal barrier I wished to overcome. Pendleton, protective as always, refused every time the topic was brought to light. But he knew he could not dismiss a recommendation letter from Her Majesty the Queen. She had personally opened the doors to Harrington Academy as thanks for finding her pet cat, Chelsea. He still held doubts as to how I would fare, but with circumstances as they were, he accepted with his usual grace. His acceptance being rather reluctant is beside the point. The Academy had an outstanding reputation and an equally outstanding student body, with a great many of them having traveled from far away to chart their futures. What made it stand out all the more was an unusual curriculum, the detectives course. I have some tea for your pleasure. Thank you. I ask once more that you keep a watchful eye when beyond the mansion's gates, my lady. Your life has been a blessed one, so it's no fault of yours if you don't see the world as I do. Look at his look on his face. But But see it now. London is a criminal city full of murderers, kidnappers, muggers, and thieves, and never should your mind be left to wander. There it was. He often warned me of danger in this manner, driving himself frantic in the process. It was impossible to stop him once he started. The best thing to do was to nod politely and pretend to listen. Yes, I suppose so. And academies are a veritable hell for youths, where jealousy, treachery, and evil are abound. Right. I've become so distraught that I can no longer sleep. What if your bloated corpse were to be discovered in the Thames tonight? Terrifying. What if your delicate frame were diced like onions and delivered to every postbox in London by morning? If that happened, how could I beg your father's forgiveness? I tell you that he would accept no such thing. He would haunt me from beyond his grave. That he would. Are you listening to me? How fucking overly dramatic Pendleton is. Yes, yes. I'll say it as many times as needed. You can never be too careful. I shall personally just see to it that you are guarded from... So, they hired Tim, I guess? Please don't follow me! Please! Pendleton answered with a devilish smile. Out of the question. I must escort you. Drat. Well, I am finished with my breakfast. It was small, but still quite good, so thank you. Should we be going soon? It's fucking toast! How hard is that? You put it in a toaster! I mean, they didn't have toasters back in the day, did they? I don't know, but... Indeed. Do you have everything you need? Are you wearing your uniform correctly? And do you have your ring from Her Majesty? Yes, yes, and yes. I have it right here with me. And please, bring this with you to the Academy as well. Pendleton handed me a white bag with Whitley stitched near its bottom. Oh, what's this? A deposit for your graduation trip. It is? How lovely. Thank you. And this is everything, I think. If anything happens, I will... Nothing will happen. Let's go. Pendleton was an admirable butler, but I often suspected he would grow bald from nerves before old. With that glorious hair. Perhaps he made it his very nature to fret. With no mother and father to guide me, the duty fell to him to be my butler, my caretaker, my mother, and my father, and he dedicated himself religiously to each role. Now he worried with all those roles combined at the thought of sending his child into the world. Alone! Oh, the dangers that could befall her. The dangers, however, could not have been further from me. I could not have been more excited to attend school for the first time. At last, the start of a new chapter in my life. My excitement left me so lost in thought I didn't notice my surroundings. The coachman suddenly jerked on the reins, forcing the carriage to a full stop. Oh, what happened? Is something wrong? There's a bit of traffic before the academy due to the number of student cabs on the road. Oh dear, why hadn't I thought of that? Of course there would be a problem if every student arrived in the same manner. Harrington Academy is a prestigious establishment in London. So many of its students are nobles who arrive by carriage. Would it not be more efficient if I were to live in the dormitory then? What a thrilling thought! And we wouldn't have to worry about traffic either! Absolutely not! Efficient for you and twice as inefficient for your schoolmates with the endless troubles you would perpetrate. In the future, the number of students traveling from home will grow to the point of rendering boarding schools obsolete. I assure you that if anything, Harrington Academy is ahead of its time. You speak as if you've already seen the future. What would you have me do? At this rate, it'll be half an hour at least before we reach the academy. Half an hour? I can't wait that long. I cannot be late for school on my first day. Please let me off here. I'll run the rest of the way. That won't do, my lady. You can't stop me. I will run. Before he could speak another word, I'd opened the carriage door with certain force and jumped out. My lady, you forgot your lunchbox. Yes, you can stop me for that. I simply could not stomach the thought of lunch without lunch. As I reached for the box, Pendleton stepped off the carriage and grasped my hand in a handsome motion. Oh! Do remember that if you were killed upon being trampled by an oncoming carriage, we would all be out of a job. Really? I'm not stupid! Pendleton taking my hand was unexpected, but nevertheless I broke away from him and continued toward the academy. He followed with the nervous air that governs a mother hen when fearful for her chicks. I could hear various pieces of gossip from the carriages stuck in traffic as they observed me running past. Oh, look! That girl looks like the one from the paper. The one who received a ring from Her Majesty, yes? That is her. And her butler. What an attractive gentleman. I know, right? My butler's fine as fuck. Do we have a romance path with our fucking butler? Please tell me that he's, like, secretly, like, some other character. I don't know. Oh, yes. And that pale hair is such an enviable shade. I never thought so before, but Pendleton was, perhaps, considered an attractive enough man that most would fawn over his looks. I did the second he showed up on screen. I was like, hi, yes? Beg pardon, but only students of this academy may enter. Thank God! Oh, what nonsense. I'm her butler, her guardian. Oh, well, thanks for walking me. You're a dear. A dear, she says with so much cheek. And do be careful, my lady. And don't follow anyone you don't know. And don't accept any gifts from strangers. And don't behave in Got it! And she's off. I hope nothing goes wrong. I fucking love Pendleton. Can I just tell you why? He's great. I was reminded of the party again this morning. Oh, that dull thing. No, don't say that. Her Majesty was radiant, and the party was fun. I find the word fun in relation to the Queen's affair to be debatable. The case itself was unique enough, I will admit. Now, you were saying... I saw that girl we met in the paper, Spacey. She was so pretty, wasn't she? You couldn't forget anyone that pretty. I know what you're doing. I don't give a damn about women, and you know it. I don't give a damn about women, and you know... Holmes, are you gay? Don't worry, we'll fix that in this game. That sounds inappropriate, because, like, hi. You don't... Oh my god, the moon. Wow. Sorry, I just, like, glanced outside and was like, what the fuck? Like, it was, like, behind, like, a tree until I leaned, and I was like, weird. Anyway, sorry, I'm, like, peeping at the moon. But, like, seriously, that makes him sound like, I don't care about women. Are you gay? I don't know. Okay, I'm just asking. But we have a romancy path with him, so I'm just saying. But, anyway, come on. We both know you went back to the party because you found her curious. Did you say something, Watson? Me? Never. Really? Are you so intent to fight off half the world's population that you would deny any woman's worth? Yes, because he wants the other half. Oh! But we have a romancy path, so it just makes it when he says things that make... Are you sure? Maybe he's gay. Maybe he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's bi-curious? Who knows? Anyway. And are you so intent to blindly kiss the ground that the lot of them walk? Sounds like a fantastic way to contract illness. Seriously, you gotta be careful where you stick it. You could get it. You get all sorts of diseases. It's kind of gross. Watson. Just simmer down. That's why he's the impy. 100% why. Our country's men have a duty to behave justly toward women. For what reason would a fine gentleman like yourself turn his back on his duty? It's our duty to procreate. You know what? I'm gonna have to tell you, stop right there. Is it because Spacey solved the case first that you're irritated? Haha, I know. She's irritated you because you fancy a certain older woman rather than any woman, don't you? Oh. You fancy a certain older woman rather than any woman. Oh, but you fancy the queen? Damn, boy, setting your sights high. That's ambition for you. In the future, leave the queen out of your fantasies and the detective work to me. I'm plenty aware of ladies first being front and center in our society. For the record, as well as the proper etiquette required of a gentleman towards a lady in official ceremonies. You know precisely how to give me a fine bloody headache, my friend. If the head does not ache, then it speaks common sense. And my head is clear. You just said how yours feels. So I did. Well, let's leave it at that. Oops, teacher's coming. Good morning, class. Good morning, Mr. Mackenzie. A wonderful greeting. May you greet our new friend with the same enthusiasm. Come in, young lady. Thank you. I delivered myself to the academy with song, happiness abound, but still I was overcome by a timidness standing in its halls. This feeling became worse having seen the faces of those who would be my schoolmates, for each one appeared well acquainted with their academics. They struck me as smart, capable, and I was reminded that I was far too fresh by comparison, so this is where she's going to get her derp and her stupidity, right? Like, I've read, like I said, I read a lot of things where like, oh my god, she's refreshing. She's not as like derpy as most MCs, but she's gonna be derpy. Like she might have some sass and be able to clap back. Fucking like Holmes, like maybe you should keep your mouth shut. Props to that girl, because that's pretty funny. So she's got some sass and spunk in her, which we'll like. But I guarantee you, she's gonna do a lot of stupid shit because for this very reason, I don't know how to do school things. Which, I mean, okay, I guess is understandable. If you had always been homeschooled and then all of a sudden you were put into school, you wouldn't understand the nuance. Like, if you just always went to school, but it's also the same thing. If you went to school in America and then you all of a sudden went to school in some foreign country, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? It's totally different. You know what I mean? You're used to the nuances of school life when you've always been in school and you've gone since like fucking time began, and you know what I mean? But it's completely different if you like were homeschooled. Basically she was fucking homeschooled, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden it's like, go to an academy, and she's like, what the fuck do I do? So I can kind of understand it, but they're gonna play up on it, and she's gonna have moments where you're like, you should know how to use a fork, girlfriend. You're not goddamn the Little Mermaid, okay? Stop. You know, it's gonna be shit like that. I mean, obviously she knows how to use a fork. She's nobility, but still. And they watched me as I watched them, and they whispered feedback behind cupped hands. Oh, it's you! You're... Oh my god, why does Mr. Mackenzie look scary? Is something wrong? Have you two met before? He looks, has something wrong? Have you two met before? He looks like the fucking teacher. The hell was his name? And fucking Nameless with the fucking skeleton. Oh god. We have not. I've never even seen her before. How can you say that? Oh, we just met the other day. Here I was, relieved to see someone I recognized. How can anyone be so unkind? Ahem. He's got to have a scary voice because he looks a little scary. Class, and this here is your newest classmate in the sixth form detectives course, Spacey Whitley. She has been studying under a private tutor till now, so this is her first day attending a school. I would ask that you help her adjust and get comfortable. Now then, I believe there's an empty seat next to Mr. Holmes. You may sit there. Excuse me, sir, but that seat is Bernard's. He's absent today, but what about tomorrow? Is there no other place for her? It's all right. You see, he was run over by 5 carriages this morning and had to take an extended leave of absence. The poor boy. Is it just me, or is it a little fucking creepy weird? Shit. Where I was sitting literally 2 seconds ago and I had to lean forward to see the moon, and now I'm sitting here and I'm just like, and now it's in full view. That shit. The earth is moving too fast. Spinning too fast. But isn't it a little freaky that Pendleton was just like, what happens if you got run over by a carriage? And we're like, ha ha ha, I'm not an idiot. Oh, Bernard got run over by 5 carriages. 5! That's excessive. How did that happen? Can we see that? I'm going to need a video clip of this. Where the fuck was YouTube in that day? Because, like, that's just, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, no, I would not actually want to see somebody get run over by 5 carriages. But in the sense of the game, yes, because I'm curious how the fuck he got run over by 5 carriages and he's still alive. I have to wonder how he survived. Okay, Holmes and I are on the same fucking page. You and me both, buddy. Whilst I seated myself, I felt a friendly pat on my shoulder. Spacey, can't believe you've come here. Oh, Watson! I thought you were studying to become a doctor like your father. I hadn't realized you were a detective as well. My dad is a doctor, yes, but I'm Holmes' assistant. Some might say that makes me something of a trainee detective. And I would. At any rate, I'm pleased we've become schoolmates. And the same to you, Holmes. The boy submitted the briefest of glances before dismissing me entirely. Have I caused him offense? Holmes is always like this. He's a good man at heart, just a bit more particular than most. You'll be getting on like old friends soon enough. In fact, he was just telling me how pretty he thought you were before you walked in the classroom. Watson, isn't that what you said? Easy, easy. Give me that look. All right, enough talk. Everyone's brought in their deposit for the graduation trip, yes? Slater, would you go collect them? And if anyone did forget, just remind them to bring it tomorrow. Yes, sir. Look, a little glasses kid! And he's not one of our boyfriendos, he's a random side kid. All at once, the students gathered to pass in their deposits. Here's mine. All right, Watson, got it. Oh, this is mine. Thank you. And this is mine. Thank you. I did not expect such a small thing as handing my bag to cause distraction, but so it did. Miss Whitley, what sort of bag is that? Just the one Pendleton gave me this morning. Phew, it's beautiful. All white, and it even has your name stitched to the bottom. Was a white bag rare? Watson spoke at a volume that quickly drew attention, conjuring several new curious onlookers in seconds. I observed yes, Holmes and Watson's bags were both brown. Is mine inappropriate? I don't think so. It suits you nicely. Oh, we have a white paper bag lunch and they have a brown paper bag. Well, you think about it like brown paper bag, if you, like, logically. I'm assuming it's a little paper bag. But, like, when you go, brown bag in your lunch, it's a normal paper, it's a brown paper bag, right? It would take a lot more processing to make it white. You know, like bleaching it and shit. And if you go to, like, I went to a fine bakery, they wouldn't put your shit in a brown bag. They put it in, like, they put it in a white bag. It's fine delicacies. Unless they're, like, it's like a hippie natural store, then they put it in a goddamn recycled bag, or probably, like, just, I don't know, on actual tree bark. I'm not really sure, but I'm just saying. So, yeah. I guess rich people could afford white bags. It just seems funny. Kind of like a funny distinction that I find amusing in the game. But, anyway. Now, if you don't mind, I'll note your deposit as received. What's the matter, Slater? You look pale. It's nothing. I'm in perfect health, really. It was the opposite from my perspective. He was indeed pale, and his eyes were unfocused, even when he sat in place. Oh, did you bring your deposits? Oh, one moment. Let me take down your names. Still, Slater kept to his work, writing down person after person, even as his fingers made to shiver upon every stroke. Careful, Slater. Your fingers are blackened at the tips. My mistake. I've a habit of touching the bottom of my pen's holder. That's no good. Look, you've stained your bag. I can't imagine where we're going. May I ask where the 6th form students from last year went? I believe they had a week-long trip to the lakes for some camping and painting. Well, that sounds wonderful. The possibilities are already swimming about my mind, and as a girl, you probably won't have to share a room. The first bell chimed, or you'll share it with one of your boyfriendos. That would be sexy. It was now time for first period. It'll be like an accidental mix-up, and you'll have to share with whoever's path you're on. This is how I would write games. Damn, the moon moves fast, bitches. We'll begin with the history of the British Empire. Holmes, would it be an issue to share your textbook with Miss Whitley? He did so, sliding the book to me together with an extravagant scoff. Just felt like scoffing. You can use it. I don't need to read it. Really? You don't need it at all? I only have it out of an effort to be polite. I've long memorized its contents. You know, it would be so much more fun if Sherlock Holmes' son was completely fucking stupid. Like, Sherlock Holmes is goddamn brilliant and his son's just like normsies. Why are you a normie? What's 2 plus 2? 4. Not fast enough! Like, the game wouldn't be the same, but I'm just saying. The entire thing? In that case, please recite page 65. The Rise of Henry VIII and the Fall of the Queens. Certainly. Born as the second son of King Henry VII, Henry VIII reigned over the British Empire with an iron fist, ascending as a gifted tyrant whilst leaving both a glorious and unfortunate stain on his people's history. That wasn't word for word, but it will do. Thank you. What a memory you have. I'm impressed. I don't recall asking you to praise me. My God, must he always be so stubborn? You lot, give me some peace and shut it. Oh! Oh, I think that's one of our boyfriends. You know what I need? I need pictures of our boyfriendos up so I know. So I know who to give special focus to on our... I want to go see our boy... Like, hold on. I'm going to the official site. Oh, hold on. My God, you have to put your date of birth in here? Sure. Let's see. He could be, but not... Oh, yes. Yes, he is. I wonder if it... I think that's... Is that supposed to be Jack the Ripper? Let's see. Characters. There we go. My page is not open enough. Pendleton. It's weird. This doesn't fit into the... Yes, that's Jack the Ripper. His birthday is the same as mine. He's my soulmate. Great. He's gonna have to have the scary voice. He's gotta have, like... I don't know what kind of voice. I don't know what kind of voice to give him right now, but anyway. The command was from a pale-haired boy sitting a few seats away, and though Holmes wore a grimace as part of his dress, this one possessed a scowl that could send champions running. Oh my, pardon us. Huh, Z's. He just wanted to sleep. Jack Millers, yes. Mr. Millers, we're in the middle of a lecture. The first class ended with no more incidents, and second period began. In this class, we study proper etiquette, and the slate is clean, but I shall be strict, for we have much to do and so little time to do it. The road to blossoming into fine ladies or gentlemen is a long one. We will begin your semester with mastering one of the essentials, correct posture when standing and moving about. It matters not how smart you are, it matters how extravagant your gown is. If you choose to walk hunched over and chin put out, then everything is ruined. Now, take out a folded handkerchief and place it atop your head. We need to walk without it falling, right? I can manage that well enough. Wrong! And next, place a full glass of water on top of that handkerchief. Oh, then we're to walk without spilling anything? Wrong again! My dear, you are to dance without spilling anything. Not even a drop? And that's impossible. And that's the way, Miss Marple. Marvelous! Sarah Marple. I'm pretty sure we have a path with her, which is very interesting. Hold on. Dollish refinement, and upon second air of someone completely unaware of how odd she is to the people around her. So she's an oddball. So anyway, naturally. Perhaps it did come naturally to this girl, for she danced with masterful elegance, and all the while not a single drop had found its way out of her glass. I don't know if it's a romancy route or if it's just like, you know, best friends. Well then, I'm going to give it a try. Ouch! A heavy thump followed by a shatter sounded from the back of the classroom. I feel like... Is she trying to say Lupin? Because that looks like Lupine, not Lupin. Because Lupin doesn't have an E at the end. But anyway, that would be Lupine, not Lupin. So we're going to call him Lupine. Unless it's supposed to be Lupin. But then why there's an E? But anyway. Mr. Lupine / Lupin, we don't know. This is unacceptable. I fear I have no choice but to give you an additional assignment with your supplementary lessons after school. I should not have been so confident to become distracted. Lupine's accident became mine next when I lost my balance. Oh, drat! It's cold. Miss Whitley, you have spilled your glass and have failed today's lesson. Mr. Watson, you dropped the handkerchief before you could even attempt at balancing a glass. You're no better than Mr. Lupine. An additional assignment shall be accompanying your supplementary lessons as well. And now, Mr. Holmes, it's your turn. Miss Cicely, I do apologize if this sounds crude, but you must be aware of the differences between myself and them. As a gentleman, I can never deign myself to take part in this folly. Folly? What difference? All we did was participate as instructed. You have failed today's lesson. Any student who refuses their instructors needs to learn more in etiquette than dancing. Mr. Holmes, it would be my pleasure to give you a special assignment. Now, I could have read that totally inappropriately. But what? And Mr. Watson, are you to see me after class? Yes, ma'am. Welcome to third period. I'm Mr. Underwood, and I'm here on behalf of all matters related to pharmacology. Various toxins, plants that give you nasty blisters and rashes, potions that paralyze, you name it, and I shall be pleased to learn you of it. You may use this coveted knowledge and become yet another criminal, or you could also use the same knowledge to protect yourselves and learn the symptoms that spell danger. Goodness, this is all rather frightening. The world of toxicology is as vast as it is fascinating. When you hear the word poison, you might be inclined to believe they're all the same, and yet there are hundreds upon thousands of variations. There are poisons extracted from minerals like arsenic and mercury. There are poisons extracted from plants like aconite? I don't know. And morphine. I know morphine, but I don't know what the other one is. Anyway. And we mustn't forget the poisons extracted from living creatures. Think of the, tetrodotoxin from a blowfish or a cobra's neurotoxin. I strongly advise that you wash your hands before eating and thoroughly inspect the smell and taste. Smell, the taste, and even the people who present you your food. That's very fine advice, sir. But why are you displaying an empty cage? Well, our cobra has chosen to flee its cage in favor of a stroll. No! Nearly every student, myself included, let out a sudden shriek. A cobra? A cobra? He must have known how deadly they are. It was common knowledge. Holmes, can a cobra kill us? It possesses a neurotoxin, so it's most likely to inhibit the movement of one's muscles. Your breathing would be obstructed, and should the worst come, but we gotta focus on catching it for now. Come on, you can't stop in the middle of it. Oh, wait. That could very well be one of. No, this is a different bespectacled boy. We have a bespectacled boyfriend, but he doesn't quite look like. Oh, that is Lupin. Okay, so when she said bespectacled boy and she called him Lupine with an E, it's supposed to be Lupin without a. Oh, interesting. So when he's in a school uniform, he wears glasses, and when he's out of a school uniform, he doesn't wear glasses. I'm curious. I really want to give him the Lupin voice. Even though I just feel like he should have the Lupin voice from Code Realized because he's a Lupin. And, just because he's going to be flamboyantly fun. You know what I mean? But he doesn't look like he would have it, though, with the glass. I don't know. We're going to have to see what his personality comes out. So we're just going to... There it is! A nervous yelp and an artful shambling of language turned me to the corner of the classroom. So it's so funny because he 100%, I wish I could, I'm going to make this bigger because it's hard to see the page. He 100% is two different fucking people. I love it. Like this, I love him in his fucking school uniform, and then he gets out of the school uniform and it's like, it's just not as much fun. But then he flips his hair around. Guys, you have to go to the fucking page for this and just see the character. You're going to see them eventually, but I just wish you could see it right now. It's fucking hilarious. Anyway, help! The snake! It's around my feet! I don't know what voice to give him yet. Out! That's just a rope. Can't have this. Nothing good can come of us being in a panic. Holmes, let's catch it. I'll pin its head down so you can grab it from behind. All right. That's dangerous. No more dangerous than it slithering out of its cage. I don't want to see you get hurt, so would you mind leaving the room with the rest of the class? Aww, he's so cute! I noticed it. There it was, the cobra observing me from high on a shelf, its jaw hanged open in complete stillness, but also with that small, disjointed vibration, a subtle tremble that came from hunger too unsatiated to ignore. Too unsated to ignore. Ah! I could only think to call one person. Who am I calling, Holmes or Watson? We'll just call Holmes. I don't know. I don't like this. Holmes! Because we should have called Watson because he's nicer to us, but still. Step aside, Miss Whitley. You're in my way. He said that as he moved before me, pushing me roughly in the process. That did not matter to me. I was no longer being attacked, and so all tension gave way to relief. Bespectacled boy! I don't know. Thank you, Holmes. There's a couple. I thought there's some. Oh, we got love points with Holmes. Okay, so I figured that was going to happen between the two of them. But, oh yeah, so I should read you their profiles. Ah. By day, he's a meek, dangerous, clumsy student by the name John Lupin with an E, so like Lupin. But by night, he assumes his true identity, Jean Lupin. Gentleman thief. That's why they called him Lupin with an E. I don't know if we're supposed to pronounce the E, so we'll just keep calling him Lupin regardless. But I'm gonna have to create a voice for him because he's gonna have to have two voices. Oh, because he has to have the meek, cowardly, like, oh, no, wait, but it's, oh, the snake, and wait, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, and then, but seriously, that's what's fun about it. He's gonna have to have the Lupin voice when he's in Lupin character, and he's gonna have to have, like, an awkward, stuttering, like, shy, quiet voice when he's, like, in school. So he's gonna have two voices. This is gonna get way complex. Anyway. He returned my thanks with a noted glance before continuing on the hunt. Holmes, it went that way. And then let's do as planned. Got it. Watch yourself. Yes, I know. The same to you, I suppose. Ah! Watson firmly held the tiny reptile's head with both hands as Holmes restrained its body. It was a finicky beast that rebelled and writhed within their grip, but they held it with enough urgency to promptly have it return to its cage. Phew! Glad that's over. But thank goodness it's safe now. That's no cobra, Mr. Underwood, but a common rat snake. Huh? A rat snake? Correct. You're a man who knows his snakes, Mr. Holmes. And since he was unaware that it was harmless, we must applaud Watson's display of courage. Oh, sir, that's a brutish trick. It's good that no one was, hurt. At least we have that. I'm in awe. But it was a thrill you won't soon forget. I'm sure you'll want to take pharmacology more seriously after that. So with that, let the real lesson begin. I'm too tired for lessons. The time to lunch had arrived, and it was the liveliest I'd seen the classroom yet. Mr. Mackenzie entered the room through the shuffle of lunchboxes and clatter between schoolmates.
Slater, were you able to collect the deposits for this month?
Yes, they were, collected.
I should like to take them if it isn't any bother. Thank you for helping with this every month.
Slater's distress from earlier in the day was still apparent as he looked to the teacher, looked away, and scratched his head restlessly.
Is there a problem?
I can't find the leather bag, sir. The one with the money.
What do you mean? You always place it inside your desk, don't you?
Ordinarily, yes. And I did so this time, too. It was there when I checked between second and third period, but it's gone now. Students listening to the conversation whispered amongst each other. I, like the rest, leant closer for a better listen, clutching my lunchbox instinctively. How could this be? What news? Mr. Mackenzie's expression following the news was fierce, and his tone as he spoke solemn.
Is there anyone here that knows where the money went?
Mr. Mackenzie, if I may, I don't suspect that's the wisest way to ask. You can answer so plainly when in front of an audience.
True. You make a fine point, Mr. Holmes. All right, class, close your eyes. If anyone has clues regarding this case, please raise your hand.
The air was stagnant.
I see. You can open your eyes now.
I looked over to Holmes, who was in his correct seat next to me. But he wasn't looking at me. Or rather, he studied the room raptly, concluding his surveillance with a barely audible puff.
I'm sorry to doubt each of you so. If there is someone here with any information, be you directly involved or a bystander, come speak to me today.
It's Lupin. I blame Lupin. Lupin, it was you! I don't know. Anyway.
I shall be in the staff lounge when I don't have a lesson to teach. That's all I'll say for the present. And now it's your lunch hour, and lunch is meant to be enjoyed without worry. Excuse me.
The whispers turned into outlandish, fervid suspicions the second the door was closed behind the teacher. Who would steal a peg when they know they're among detectives? This is a case, isn't it? I didn't expect such a thing on my first day.
Let's eat together, Spacey. If you'd like, that is.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. Okay, someone needs to turn off the motherfucking car alarm. Irritating as fuck.
You look troubled by something.
Do I? Well, I wouldn't know what.
All right, then. I won't say another word about it. Since it's such a nice day outside, how would you like to lunch in the courtyard? You should join us, Holmes. Holmes?
They're both like, Watson gripped the unmoving boy's shoulder.
What do you want, Watson? Isn't it fantastic, Spacey? Holmes said he'd join us.
Excuse me? Unhand me this instant. Don't pull so hard. Watson, Holmes, and I seated ourselves along the grass in the courtyard. We were not alone. The day was beautiful as it was clear, and so several others had gathered to spend their time reading books, resting their eyes, or soaking in the sun. Or I suppose they could have found the outdoors refreshing when the classroom had been so tense. I took a peek inside Watson's lunchbox. It was a careful arrangement of mimosa salad, mashed potatoes, several slices of roast beef, and orange compote for dessert. Compote for dessert. My! I could have a nibble off of every part of that. It looks delicious.
Isn't it just? Our landlady makes them for us.
Wait. Do Holmes and Watson live together still? Like, still? They're married and have kids, and now they're... That's a really crowded fucking two-bedroom place.
Oh, Holmes and I are flatmates, by the way. She even cooks us breakfast and dinner. The best landlady you could have.
So Watson and Holmes, but then their teenage sons live together? That's weird as fuck. That's weird. I didn't know flats came with meals. How sweet she is. And if the two of you are flatmates, then where might your family be living?
Our dads rent their own flat together in the same building as our office. And my family's home is in a suburb in London.
Okay, I find this adorable and yet disconcerting a little bit. Okay. So we know Holmes and Watson lived together, blah, blah, blah. Watson eventually got married and moved out. But what you're saying is he came back? And they lived together. But wait, they were at least alone enough to have children. But they lived together in a flat above, in their okay, so they're still at 221 Baker Street. How did either one of them manage to procreate? I mean, it's a two-bedroom place, sure. I'm just saying, you can have your lady friends over. But it's just a little awkward of a situation for you to be living there. And then, okay, so your kids rent a flat together. And have family's home. So, so Watson's wife lives somewhere else. And who the fuck knows how Holmes Jr. exists? I'm just saying. This is really fucking bizarre. Did anyone actually think this through? You're like, that sounds totally unreasonable, but okay. Anyway.
You're welcome to visit me at Holmes anytime, but it can be a bit small for you since you live in a mansion. Do you mind, Holmes?
I don't. The response was clipped. With nothing more to say, he continued to eat through a thin mouth that could have stretched thinner were anyone to interrupt him again. And why was this? I was curious. Is something upsetting you? Never mind him. He talks plenty when he feels up to it. You're thinking about the money and Slater, aren't you? I am. The situation is nagging at the back of my mind. It strikes me that no matter how he searched for that bag, he could not find it. Slater is cautious. He isn't the type to leave it anywhere. He would have kept it somewhere he knew was secure. I'd prefer not to think it. But do you suspect someone in class stole it? I don't think that's the case. Neither do I. I was a new addition for the semester, and yet such a positive impression had been stamped upon me that said not one schoolmate stood out to me as a thief. Really? You really haven't talked to Lupin much, have you? Couldn't be someone in our class. Then what do you think? Yes, well, I'd like to keep that to myself for now. But have you noticed how strange Slater's been since this morning? His gaze and fingers were unsteady. He could barely stand straight. Do you not find his lack of composure unusual? He was blinking at an astonishing rate as well, oftentimes a sign that one is lying or hiding something. What? I don't know what you're talking about. I never lie. Has a seizure because you're blinking so much. When Mr. Mackenzie called for him to collect the deposits, it was as if he had something else on his mind entirely. You gathered all that? I didn't notice a thing. Could I speak with you for a moment? Just as we were discussing him, Slater had approached to engage us. Slater? It's a shame what happened earlier. You look terribly ill, you know that? Thank you, but there's no need for concern. I feel plenty well. On my health, at any rate. I feel awful for having caused such a fuss. Everyone in class was thought to be a thief, and all because of me. I truly am sorry. That's what I wanted to say. See you after lunch. When he turned to leave, Holmes spoke up. If I could have a moment of your time, Slater. Holmes? Slater listened and turned right back around. He wished to speak of more serious issues, like that of the lost deposits. There we have it. But you haven't quite got the courage to speak as of yet, have you? Having enough courage to tell me what you know will not only benefit you, it will serve to reestablish trust amongst our schoolmates. Of course, but you see, it is a difficult matter to discuss openly. Would you object to continuing this conversation in the garden behind the academy? I don't imagine anyone will be coming here. I'm more curious why you've come, Miss Whitley. You came to speak with me, not you. There are kinder ways of saying the same thing. I'll only ask you once to shut up, Watson. Now, pardon my severity, but can you leave? Our problems are liable to increase if you twirl about gossiping everything you were to hear. And why not say the same to Watson? He's my assistant. He should be here. Well, I'm not an assistant, but I had my deposits stolen. I'm as much a part of this as you. That is true. Point taken. And if we're to start with the deposits, then I didn't steal them. Please believe me. The way in which he professed was heavy with pain. We're well aware of that. No one is chomping at the bit. Chomping at the bit to accuse you. You don't doubt me? I have been your schoolmate for a full year. It takes little reasoning to know you aren't the sort who would resort to theft. I trust you. Rather than the perpetrator, your behavior mirrors that of a victim. You speak to me whilst your eyes move without rest. Your mind is as occupied as your behavior is nervous, and you dig your nails into your arm. Taking such observations into account, I'm led to believe you're hiding something and are fearful for what may happen if what's hidden comes to light. What other conclusion could I have reached? Holmes's tongue raced to finish all he said in a single breath. Watson appeared used to this manner, but Slater and I were astounded. With that done, I've now something to ask you. It is a very simple question. You placed the money in the bag, correct? Did the bag disappear with the money? Silence. At one side was a detective with a need for answers to the grotesque, and at the other was a shrinking boy, speechless, terrified to speak the truth, even when he held those desired answers. You remember when I said I trusted you, don't you? Then please, answer me. I need only a yes or no. Might he be talking about the bag that was stained with ink? Holmes remained unblinking. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. And then, Watson, I have need of a favor.
What is it?
Holmes leaned closely to his assistant's ear and whispers.
This is some sort of prank, isn't it?
You're better at this than I am, aren't you? I need you.
All right. I'll be right back.
Watson, apparently in agreement, turned heel and left. Where is he going? I asked him to run an errand for me. He has a good nose for this sort of errand, one might say. I was curious but stumped for clues. No matter, I suppose. The answer would soon be upon me, even if I couldn't resist my head tilting inquisitively as I speculated the outcome. Well, now that's sorted. Are you ready to talk? Holmes's attention returned to Slater. Yet he was newly frozen in place. His ill complexion grew 3 times paler, and his mouth twisted open and closed with no voice coming out. Whatever made him so distraught was behind Holmes. Yes, it had to be behind him. It left him so very afraid. This terrifying thing. What's wrong? You look... Clave... Who? I don't think it's a person's name. Anyway. Flat-footed, heavy steps sounded from behind me. I made to see who it was. Clave.
Just what brings you here, Slater?
I met eyes with a giant. The color of the tartan on his uniform was different to ours, indicating that he was in his final year of 6th form. Even then, his age didn't leave half the impression his massive physique did. Slater remained petrified. I'm not doing anything, Clave.
I hear you've lost all the money for your deposit.
Did you now? That is interesting. We only learned of it ourselves. It was also my understanding that no one in our class was to utter a word of the incident to outsiders. Were you eavesdropping from outside our classroom door, perhaps? That question was redundant, for a smirk reserved for one who knows all the answers spread his lips. Clave, in return, could either speak of unpleasantness or glare in silence. The tension that stiffened the very air would be the same.
I wasn't eavesdropping. Slater told me.
Well then, I'm curious when you heard it from him. Oh, we shall come round to that soon enough. You must know he's been in our company since lunch began. Was he? But he wasn't here from He was. From the very beginning, he watched us from a distance, waiting as he looked for a chance to approach and talk. That was what you were doing, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Holmes let out a tired groan. Has it still not dawned on you? It's impossible for you to have conversed with Slater if you've only just come from the building. And now, speaking plainly, and this is all circumstantial on my part, and I could be wrong. Could. The massive boy's face reddened with anger the more the boy detective carried on.
You bloody...
Here's what I don't understand. This is a school for detectives. But, like, why are some of these people stealing money and this guy's actually a douche and he's probably not that smart? Like, this should be a smart, intelligent people. And it's like, seems like there's, like, this dude.
Found it, Holmes.
Watson had returned as quickly as he had left. He hurried to us, panting as though he ran with vigor the entire time he'd been away.
This is it, isn't it? It was in the incinerator.
I recognized the bag he was holding. There could be no mistaking it. It was the very same one Slater had used for collecting the deposits. The fabric was more worn than when I last saw it in the classroom, but the reason why was no mystery to be solved upon knowing where Watson had retrieved it. Your timing is excellent. Moving along, then. Holmes fiercely locked eyes with Clave. I have several questions to ask of you. First, when did you hear about this from Slater? You see, I suspect you didn't hear from him at all, and yet you know what happened down to the last detail. The boy, who grew so deeply red in the face that it wasn't possible to appear more bruised, now twisted his eyebrows and scowled till he possessed a devilish expression, a face fit for one who could no longer adhere to reason. and his fists matched this anger, for they were clenched tightly enough for his nails to break skin and looked eager for violence. Recall how we only learned of Slater losing the money during lunch. If I were to guess exactly how you knew, I would say...
You think I'm some kind of fool?
Clave raised his fist against Holmes. Watch out, Holmes! I made to dive to his rescue, a silly action, but Watson held me to my place.
Not to worry. He'll handle this well.
But... And then the brute swung his fist. Dread haunted the forefront of my mind. He was simply too monstrous in size for Holmes to be the victor. Now, there was no comparison. Oh, come on. Well, we already knew. I was like, come on, Holmes is going to best him. And still, I stood forced to do nothing by Watson, who watched the quarrel with easy breath. I couldn't bear to watch the oncoming strike. I was too afraid. Would you look at that? This ink on your nails is familiar to me. Shh! I dared a peek between fingers to see Holmes twisting Clave's arm. He was inspecting the boy's fingertips. When Slater was collecting the deposits, it was observed that his bag was stained. The color was a dirty, dark amber, unusual as most would be content to use black ink. Even you favor black ink. I can see the residue along the cuff of your sleeve. Now, here's where the situation becomes quite curious. Your cuff is black, but your fingertips are stained with an amber hue. Tell me, why is that? Clave's darkened face suddenly grew pale. This is why you wear gloves and then burn them too. Holmes's reasoning was impressive, and I would have been fast in my praises had I not been baffled by how a man of his build could hold someone so large in place without considerable effort.
See? I said it'd be alright, didn't I?
So you did. I now understood why Watson did nothing. The answer was in our hands. Clave received the deposits from Slater. But where is he hiding them? I pondered the information gathered thus far. He wouldn't walk around with the money in that same bag. What if he only intended to spend part of it for now and pocketed the rest elsewhere? The bag itself was found in the incinerator. So when did you touch it before Watson brought it here? Whatever that was, we know for certain that you had to have been the one to throw it away.
Piss off!
Clave succeeded in shaking off Holmes's hold and wasted no seconds in making another attempt to strike him. It was close, but Holmes was the more skilled of the two.
What?
How did you suppose you could hit anyone at that speed? I didn't think God made idiots like you. The detective needed only to step to the side and avoid the oncoming fist. Oh, Holmes, look at you. Don't punch me. That's rude. He stepped backward. I like how when this game, when a CG comes up, it like pauses and it's like, you clicked, here's your CG. We'll wait for you to click before the text comes up again. It's kind of nice. I like that. He stepped backwards with some practiced attempts to the situation and raised his fist, taking on a fighting stance similar to that of a boxer's.
Do you mock me?
Me? Mock you? What are you going on about? Holmes briefly focused his attention towards us. This part's going to be long. I'm only answering his challenge. The two of you are to act as witnesses. You see it, yes? This is self-defense. Holmes ducked Clave's advance and took an able stance before retaliating. Ha! What followed was a sharp blow to the chest. So immediately did Clave's breath leave him that it took all his instinct to keep himself balanced. Who's Hugh? Or is he saying, huh? I think he's saying, huh, but it looks like Hugh. I was like, who's he calling to? Wait. Indeed, his will was strong. He righted himself and was ready to continue. Oh my god, my neck hurts so bad. Yet in the process, his jacket fluttered briefly, but that was enough for me to spot what was in his breast pocket. Ah, so that's where it is. We aren't done yet. Holmes stepped forward before his advantage was fully lost. He tightened his fist and gave Clave a second strike. And the third, a right cross to the boy's side, was to be the last. His opponent crashed to the ground and held along his ribcage with a pained grimace. I think I can get it. I had to chance it. Induced by bravery, I dived to Clave and reached into his breast pocket.
The hell is wrong with you?
Spacey! I want you to explain why this was in your pocket! What I now held was a pure white bag with Whitley stitched elegantly near its bottom. It was quite naturally the only one of its kind. All of us knew it upon sight. And to be certain, if my own bag was among his belongings, then further proofs were but supplemental. We had our man. When someone commits a theft, whether they're conscious of it or not, they become paranoid someone will steal back from them. It takes little work to rouse someone in that state to anger. No one is an exception. It's simply human nature. Upon your theft, you were left with two options. Keep the money on you or tuck it away safely elsewhere. And with so much collected, you can't have thought to carry all the money around at once. Were you planning to use it little by little? Was my deposit today's petty cash? It's like Danganronpa. Ah! Your actions are evidence enough. You were so anxious the money would be taken away that you challenged Holmes with barely any provocation. All your guilty mind with something to hide would have done it. Fine work, Miss Whitley. Holmes spoke barely above a whisper. Did I hear that right?
What is this now?
Mr. Mackenzie.
I heard two students having a row in the courtyard, but upon my word, just what do you think you're doing?
I'd been too distracted. As I turned to my left, to my right, behind me, I only now saw the number of onlookers who approached.
I shall listen to each of you in the staff room.
Yes, sir.
And you are in the upper sixth, correct? Clave, I believe. I must have you come with me.
We each gave our account of the event after being taken to the staff lounge. Blessedly, all of the money Clave had hidden away was found. Had we waited even a day, why, I couldn't fathom the extent of schoolyard bully. I could not fathom the extent a schoolyard bully should have liked to spend. What luck that we were so quick. He should be expelled.
What an awful mess this was. I am relieved the deposits were found, and you did well to solve it. But there is no excuse for fighting on the stool grounds, Mr. Holmes. Your actions have forcibly engaged Mr. Watson and Miss Whitley in this as well.
I accept that the fault is wholly mine. Oh, but it's not. It was by my own will that and Holmes didn't start the fight. Clave did. Holmes only acted in self-defense. She is right, sir.
Very well, I understand. But see here, even if for good reason you violated the rules firmly set by this academy, had it been worse, this could have resulted in your suspension. I advise you to keep yourselves out of trouble, unless you rather like the idea of expulsion.
Yes, sir.
Miss Whitley, this is only your first day, but I must extend this warning to you as well.
Yes, sir.
I expect you behave like angels for the next few days. Mr. Watson, you are to go to Miss Cicely's supplementary lesson after this. Do you understand?
I understand.
As for Clave MacLeod, he'll be formally handled by the police. We were able to find all the money he had hidden. And lastly, Slater, you will be suspended for 3 days. I should also like for you to explain the truth before your class. You had them very worried, you know.
Yes, sir. We retired from the lounge after we were dismissed. As we bid pleasant goodbyes to Slater, Watson did as instructed and went to attend his supplementary lesson. Holmes and I were left. I'm going to pause it here, and we're going to boop. Wrap it up. But anyway, I actually want to do this before we go, so I'm going to read the little character things. So here's the character things about Spacey. Not Emily. Anyway, a young heiress who has been raised by her dearest butler since she was a small girl. Upon her debut into high society, she receives a letter of recommendation from the Queen of England to a famed school for detectives. I should have read this instead of like the other stuff that we read before we played the game, because this would have helped us a little bit more. Her moments of brilliance are paired with a rare depth of sincerity, and she uses both in her new life at Harrington Academy, working at a relentless pace toward the truth behind her mother and father's peculiar deaths. Holmes. Sherlock Holmes. Birthday, the 25th of January, age 17. We've got his height, blood. His talents are boxing, and he adores tea. Profile, the son of London's most legendary detective, which I'm still curious about. He takes after his father in many ways, his superior intellect being one, and his stubbornness being another. Herlock's proclivity for getting in the last word and mockery of others can grate on those around him, and though he is quite clever, he himself is unaware of the extent of his behavior. As he is a man of logic and reason, he disapproves of Lady Whitley's more intuition-based approach, and he has no issue voicing as much. Watson Jr., William H. Watson. Birthday, July 10th, age 17. Hobbies, horseback riding. Adores Welsh rarebit. Profile, the son of Dr. John Watson. Watson is a man of action, often jumping headfirst into a situation no matter the danger. This would normally be a cause for concern, but his reputable physical strength helps to counterbalance any difficulties that might come his way. He is also quite experienced in playing the sweetener to Holmes's bitterness, and because they have a nigh unbreakable bond of trust, that's just fine by him. He takes a liking to the heroine from the day they first meet, and he's always more than happy to help her, and we're not going to read about the rest of them until we run into them. Although technically we've already run into Lupin and Jack. Akechi, we haven't met. Kobayashi, we haven't met. Marple, we kind of already did. There's Abigail Hudson, and then of course, Ralph Pendleton. Birthday, September 3rd. Hobbies, gardening. Adores scones. Of fucking course he does. Lady Whitley's loyal butler who guards and attends to her every need at the behest of her deceased parents. He preys on his master's naivety with frequently teasing and exaggerating scenarios of horror, but his desire to protect her is sincere due to something that happened in the past. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so we can date Holmes, Watson, Lupin, Jack the Ripper, and Akechi. But okay, so here's the interesting thing. Yeah, so I looked at the character end thing. So destined, I'm assuming these are people we can date. So yeah, Lupin, Jack, Watson, Holmes, and Akechi all have destined routes. Charmed endings we have for Kobayashi and Marple, Sarah Marple. So I don't know what that means by charmed ends. I mean, I think those are like side characters. I don't think they're actual like romancy, but... And then, of course, we don't have anything for Abigail Hudson. She's also just, I guess, a fun, friendly side character. And then Ralph. Or Pendleton, sorry. I really want to fucking round with our butler. I love him so much. Oh my god. Yeah. But we'll get to know when we meet the other characters a little bit more. It's funny because... So I guess Akechi doesn't come in till later because it says he's an exchange student, so maybe he'll come in later. But anyway, we will read the others when we get to when they show up in our routes. But for now, they're not. So anyway, I will wrap this part up here. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.